Okay guys, the final story I want to cover today. Wow, this is a lot of gear shifting in my brain. But the 10-3 story, I have to comment on it because I have been following this so much. I've done videos on it. In fact, I'll leave a link in the description to my breakdown of the 2.5 audio drama wheel and the 10-3 story because it's very confusing. Like here in the West, all we've had is really shoddy snippets of translation that really have been taken out of context. Even more so than is in Japan. Like, well, first of all, let's get into this story. So Square Enix comment on the possibility of Final Fantasy X-3, and this happened during a Dissidia NT community broadcast, in which they oddly showed the later years illustrations of Tidus and Yuna, which are these two here. And I love this. They look a little bit old, a bit more mature. Like Yuna looks ready to go down. She is gonna be such an awesome, beautiful, wise, powerful character. It's almost like that's why I want X-3. You know, she had her subservient summoner kind of years, then she had her rebellious gunner going out and finding herself, discovering herself as a young woman, you know, and all of the complications between love and coming together with Tidus, then departing, then coming back. Like, she is going to be such a well-rounded character now that she has both of those aspects that I do kind of feel it would just be criminal not to see X-3 actually find a player. I might be one of the only people who want X-3. Now, I do agree it's one of the most unneeded, unnecessary reopenings to a series in the history of ever. But I still want it. I want to see this couple actually together. I want to see all of that finally come into shipping glory. I want the ship to set sail, and I want to be on board with it for a full 60 hours. Yes, baby, please. But yeah, they showed the illustrations here, and Kitase left an interesting response. Currently, Final Fantasy X's latest story is recorded in the voice drama for the HD remaster, but back when we decided to include the voice drama, the staff was really excited about the thoughts of, don't you want to make Final Fantasy X-3? However, most of them have been busy, and so we haven't been able to make it happen. Now, this is huge. The fact that they're talking about it again. The previous time it got spoken about was Matsuda, the company's CEO. He said about X-3, and his words were, quote, very close to quote, we're aware of FF10-3 and the fans who want it, but you will just have to, quote, wait a little longer to hear more. Wait a little longer, he said. Now that was a while ago, so wait a little longer by Square Enix terms. I mean, that can literally mean anything. Even by Nomura standards, that can mean 10 years. Quickly switching over to the Siliconera version, the full version. Takeo Kajiriko, the Dissidia Final Fantasy director, said there's been some requests to make this later years of Tidus and Yuna into costumes. And when I asked Nomura-san, he said, first make Final Fantasy X-3, to which I responded, right. Yes, Nomura, first make X-3. It's just going to happen, guys. It's definitely going to happen. It's in Square Enix's mind. And the main reason why I think it's guaranteed to happen is all it takes is Square Enix to hit one rough patch, and they're gonna do it. Like, this is the trump card that they are gonna play one day. It's just a certified guaranteed fact because the money that they can get from this, 10 and 10-2 is the most profitable package and compilation that Square Enix have ever released. Most profitable Final Fantasy, and it makes a lot of sense. 10-2 actually did really well in sales, and it cost just a fraction of what it cost. Of course, if they did 10-3, it would probably cost a lot more. You know, the one thing I can't get my mind around is how they're going to do 10-3. Like, in what style, in what engine are they going to do it? I mean, I assume they would do it by AAA standards today, which means it would look exceptionally different to 10-2 aesthetically. And just graphics wise, like, I really don't think they're going to make it look legacy and akin to 10 and 10-2. But that game made them insane amounts of profit. In fact, see if I can find it quickly. I covered this way back in fact, it was one of my best edited videos. Honestly, the best edited video I ever did was on this right here. I'll leave a link in the description to that as well. I'd really appreciate if you check that out. It's really old, but I spent almost 5 days editing this. And yeah, it's just one of my best edited videos. But if we go to this infographic, you'll see right here, Gross revenue, highest, is 1.72 billion. And the reason they've put a little star suffix, in fact, I don't know if you guys can even see that. I mean, even if we look at game sales, 10 is there. The reason the suffix is there is because that's 10 and 10.2. And it's just because, again, it was so cheap to make. It was such a success. Not only did they then bundle it together, 10 and 10.2, as part of an anniversary, they then did a HD remaster of it. They then released it as a bundle again on the PS4. So this has just made them incredible amounts of money. And the fact that if they do a 10.3, not only is that going to sell in and of itself insanely well, that then just gives them an opportunity to package it all up again. Like, they're going to be packaging a 10 Trilogy, people. 10 Trilogy. Just the words of that are laced with billions of schmeckles. And that is why it's 100% going to happen. And I can't wait for it. Now, in terms of some people's gripes that they're going to have with it, and what I was saying earlier about how we just got really shoddy translations, that's not to say that it's perfect. Like the 2.5 drama and the 10.3 synopsi, they're not great. aka they're going to need tweaking, and 100% if this ever game comes into game format, they are going to overhaul the concept. Not completely, I think 100% they're going to keep the parameters of what happens, but what was really frustrating is when we got translations of it, it was just little dramatic things thrown over to us. Like, the Japanese didn't like it, but they didn't hate it as much as we did. We only heard ridiculous things like, oh, Tidus's head, he goes to kick a blitz ball and his head blows off and it rolls next to Yuna and she passes the fuck out. And like, we just heard really out of context stuff, or like things about sex pacts, how Yuna has to make a sex pact with Tidus and they go beneath the bow of a ship and they clap some cheeks, and that has something to do with summons. Like, all of that sounded really bad out of context, and that's why I highly recommend you to go check out the video if you're really curious, because when you actually look at all of what is in the 10.3 story and 2.5, there's actually a lot of quality there. There's a lot of really interesting concepts, and that's why I'm actually in a position where I don't mind it. Like the things with Chawami, for example, Oren's daughter, she'll definitely still be in it. Chawami came across as a bitch, and people's like, I hate this. She comes across as a total bitch, and it's frustrating because it just feels like 13 all over again. You know when 13 first came out, and everyone who stopped playing 15 to 20 hours in just because the team was so hostile and unlikable, and then they quit, and then they go to the reviews and they just say the characters are horrible, hate them, and they never gave them the chance to show the other side. Like, it was so intentional that they were making 13's crew unlikable, and it's just the same as Chawami, making her erratic, crass, rude, arrogant. She just totally slams religion in a really unnecessary and unsensitive way. But the thing is, they even made that known, because they even had Waka speak to her and say, look, you're being a bit of a turd, really. But at the heart of it, at the core, the relationship between her and Kurgan being the male summoner who, again, this is the kind of shit we had out of context, who supposedly Yuna dumps Tidus to get with him. That was the other thing. We were going to find out that Yuna says she doesn't love Tidus anymore, and she's fell in love with this bloke, but obviously Tidus doesn't know that she's doing it because she's found out Sin has returned, and she knows that whoever is closest to the summoner is at most risk, so she's trying to distance herself, and that's why she makes up this bullshit that she's in love with a bloke who she literally just met a day before. This was the frustrating thing. There were so many people in the audio drama conversation who was like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe it. It was like, no, this is obviously fake. This is obviously Yuna just doing a bit of... She's clearly not in love with a bloke she just met the other day. And the fact that Kurgan then does it to Chawami, he distances himself. It just took a little bit more time and patience to really look at it and understand what was going on. I really feel that was missed. But the things that I really love, so the parts that I'm really curious about, is the way that they're going to completely blow open what a summoner can possibly do. So in this story, I won't go through all of it, because if you want to see it all, again, go to the videos. Like things like Yuna and Tidus, they go for vacation, they hit a storm, they go overseas. Tidus is trying to keep her Yuna alive from drowning, because obviously he's a stronger swimmer. But as he's about to run out of breath and pass out, he sees Braska's final Aeons eject. just picking Yuna up in his hand. They then wake up on an island. Tidus does die or something happens, but it's on an island where there's been a really thousand-year-old summoner. I can't remember his name. And he has this whole backstory, which is really intriguing about his summoner and his previous partner. I'm really trying to remember his name. Can't remember. But anyway, this summoner basically goes on to kind of be like a Karate Kid teacher. Like it's gonna be like a Karate Kid Rocky Balboa kind of for Yuna, where she's getting taught what a summoner can really do, and it's crazy. They can basically do more than just send fireflies, summon aeons and whatnot. They can actually basically control the fabric of reality. They can control life and death. They even said that if she wanted to materialize a boat out of nothing, she could do it and sail off this island, but he warns her in doing so, it's very, very dangerous. Like it unbalances the world and the far plane and the subtle balance that has. And it's within that we're going to kind of see, I don't know if it's Yuna who causes it necessarily, but that's how we see the far plane kind of go into chaos and Soul start coming back. And for a Soul to come back, it needs somebody to want it back, like deeply want it back. And we start seeing like characters like a child and a father, and the mothers come back, and you know, Yuna's freaked out. But then when Sin returns, that means that there's somebody who really wanted Sin back, and there's just such an opportunity to bring any characters back. No, not necessarily saying that they should, like Seymour, for example. That motherfucker has come back enough times. Limitless possibilities, limitless potentials, what they could do with it, and how they could adapt this into a game format and really finalize it. And I'm genuinely curious to see it. Like even if it goes completely tits up. I understand the fear that people have is that 10.2 was such a dramatic gear shift from 10. And I do think 10.3 will be another dramatic gear shift. Like I really do think this trilogy could be one of the most polarizing, crazy shifting trilogies of them all. I mean, 13 was pretty crazy. Now I know one of the complaints that I see a lot of people make is that all of this kind of trivializes death. You know, Tidus coming back yet again, then disappearing, then coming back again, people coming back from far planes, Sin, etc. But to me, I always find that argument a bit crazy. Death trivialized in the FF10 universe? Are you kidding me? About everyone has died and come back at some point. It's just the nature of the far plane allows that, and I really think that we should see that come to its conclusion. And we should see how this universe really settles into a new path, a new future, because there are open-ended questions. I won't go into all of them, but there definitely are. I'd even like them, potentially, to finalize whether or not this is connected to 7. Like, Kitase has confirmed it. The canonicity has kind of confirmed that 7 and 10 are connected, that when space travel became available, they moved over to 7. Now, I know what people are going to say. How can that be? Sid Highwind, he was the first one to create a rocket. That's not to say we fully know how it works, but it definitely has happened. I'd really like to see whether this was just a thrown-in Easter egg when Najima wrote this, or whether it was actually something really deep and integral that they planned to do, because they definitely, with Shinra in 10.2, they definitely left hints, massive hints that these universes were connected, that Rin, the Albed, was funding Shinra to find alternative sources of energy, in which we kind of find out that will later go on to be the Livestream and the Shinra Corporation. I really want to see whether that is true, and maybe even just throw in some hints of that as well. But there we go, guys. 10.3 mentioned yet again. Definitely people who are going to want to do it within the company. Whether this comes soon or way down the line, no, because we have heard other things. For example, they would never remaster anything like 8, 7, or anything from basically 9 and below. They'd never remaster. There was an article where, I can't remember who said it. It might have been Kitase again. Said that they would just simply do a remake. It would be easier to do a remake than even attempt a remaster. And that there are, quote, a lot of people in Square Enix over the years who have said that they really want to do a 6 remake. So that's why I definitely think the 6 remake could potentially, after the 7, that could come first. or 10.3. I don't know, it's like one of those, either the 6 remake or the 10.3, way in the distance after 7 remake, when they're looking to move on to something else. It's going to be one of those two, maybe both. Who freaking knows? But I'm ready, and I'm just really curious to see how they would style this game, and what division would take it, what engine would take it. I mean, the obvious one right now would be for Unreal Engine 5 or 6 whenever it comes out, by the time the PlayStation 5 is around. But I'm rambling enough now. 10.3, it's pretty sick. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. How do you feel about 10.3? Would you like it to happen? And if it did happen, how do you think Square Enix would go about it? I mean, by every metric, this game is just kills it. It kills it in terms of money, even in terms of average playtime. I know you can't see it's cut off. Average playtime, the highest of any mainline Final Fantasy at 167 hours. Game rating, pretty close to the top, 4.38. I think that makes it the 3rd highest Final Fantasy of all time, just below FF9 and FF7, and yeah, highest game sales of all time. So bring it on, baby. And regardless of whether we want it, I know one day Square Enix, you're going to get desperate enough, and you're going to damn well do it. So you might as well buckle up now, cause it's coming. Until the next video, goodbye.